Clovercrest Media presents the Roll Call Podcast. I am Joe McGuire along with Lucas Baldock and JJ Vargas. And things didn't quite go the way we had hoped. After the last Thursday show, we were hoping things were going to continue and that the Yankees were going to be all right. And they gave it the old college try. Garrett Cole on 3 days rest and Tyler Glasnow on 2 days rest. And, you know, it was remarkable to watch a couple gladiators battling it out. Yankees, I think at the end of the day, I will get into everything, but I think if there's one thing the Yankees walk away is knowing that Garrett Cole's the right guy, that Garrett Cole gives them a 1-0 opportunity in every single series. Garrett Cole is going to win a lot of games for this team over the next now 8 years. With year one, JJ, in my opinion, Garrett Cole, huge success.
Yeah, after 1 year, you could definitely say that the Garrett Cole experiment at the moment is paying off, you know, literally, you know, the money and the results itself. You know, it's nice to know we have him locked in. And, you know, it definitely puts the Yankees in a good position, and it locks them in that ace department, but they still have many questions going into what further as of what the rotation is going to look like past him. You got Tanaka that has question marks around him. You got Paxton that has question marks around him. You got Severino that his health is unsure at the moment. You got Domingo Germán. We're not sure what's going to happen with his current situation. And the other young guys like Davey and Monty that we are still not sure what their build up. So, you know, it's nice to know that at least the one is filled in, but there's still many questions that follow after that.
Yeah, Cole looked phenomenal in that game, game 5, up until he gave up that home run. And that I'd say up until he gave up the home run, he was still phenomenal. It doesn't take away from his performance. We should have put up more runs to support him, because I believe that home run he gave up was his only hit. Is that correct, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
guy's amazing. Yeah. He's an amazing pitcher, and I mean, look, when you needed him most, and you know, we had so much concern about him going on short rest in Game 5.
He looked amazing.
He could have pitched on 2 days rest as well.
Yeah, I laughed at the idea that he wasn't going to be ready for 3 days rest. I thought that was an oblivious thing to believe. Garrett Cole is an ace. He's an all-star. He's an elite as a pitcher as they come in the major leagues. His numbers are all across any records books that you want to look for. He's that guy, and he's going to be that guy for years to come for the Yankees.
Yeah, he's
the other guy,
pitcher.
The guy I think we most need to talk about in terms of this team and value and what he brings to the table. We know DJ LeMahieu is a free agent, and he's in line for, one has to assume, a really, really big raise. Both Boone and Cashman in the Yankees, you know, State of the Year address or whatever you want to call it. Certainly didn't want to be accused of tampering. They made very clear they understand the guy's value. They want him back a lot. I think everyone gets the sense that DJ wants to come back. But this is going to cost the Yankees a lot of money. I just saw something yesterday where JT Romalto's looking for at least 4 years and $80 million or something like that it was. So you can imagine what a great player like DJ LeMahieu would be worth. And I fear a little bit that he could price himself out of New York. And it would be a shame because it's a great bat to lose. He is 32 years old. How long are the Yankees willing to go on a guy like that? And for how much money? Because, again, you got to start being a little more budget conscious with the money already tied up in Cole, as I mentioned last show, and Stanton and Chapman and Britton. So you got to really be smart here. You got guys that are going to need extensions. We could talk about Gleyber and Gary and Aaron Judge and Urshela eventually and Voit. All these guys are going to have to get paid at some point. So they have to be smart. And you know, for any clown whose solution is to re-sign DJ, move him to second, bring in Lindor, shut up. None of that is happening. And Brian Cashman all but explained that yesterday. The revenue's not there because of COVID. You're probably going to see pretty much the same team back. And I think what he meant by that was DJ's definitely coming back if we could swing it. And again, I think the other key component here is a number 2 pitcher, whether it's bringing Tanaka back, whether it's getting Trevor Bauer, whether it's going out and shopping an Andujar or someone else on this team in an attempt to get a really solid number 2, because beyond that, you do have Montgomery, you do have Garcia, you do have guys like Jonathan Loaisiga who can make starts. Chad Green's always in the mix, I think, as far as starters are concerned. The Yankees certainly have, you mentioned the 2, JJ, the Domingo Germán situation. Good news with Luis Severino. He's already into the 3-week throwing program. He's slated to come back by June or July. No reason to think that you won't get a really good Luis Severino. But if you're slotting Severino into the 3 spot with Monty in 4, Garcia 5, Schmidt on the peripherals, I think you've got yourself a really good thing there. And in terms of Chad Green, I think that the Yankees should probably give him a real look as a starter. And I say this because, and they think really highly of Michael King, who has had some issues, but I think is a tremendous pitcher. And I think the more this guy's around fellow big leaguers, I think the more he's going to pick up the game and be a very effective arm. So I think the Yankees have options, and it's not going out there and trading the farm to get a Jacob deGrom or any nonsense like that. And if anybody tells you different, they're out of their mind. Trevor Bauer, certainly an enticing piece, JJ. Love to get him, but it's going to have to be a deal that the Yankees really like, or it's never going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm going to tackle the issue that you nailed initially with the DJ LeMahieu. Just like Garrett Cole, DJ LeMahieu also passed his Yankee experience. He came to the Yankees, and you either leave a better player or a worse player, and then your value goes from there as a player, I feel, when it comes to the Yankees. So I feel like DJ's value has definitely risen since coming to the Yankees. To his credit, he's been an incredible player for us, and I still think that at this point he's probably as valuable as a player he's ever been. So with that being said, I do think that the Yankees, would have to pay more for him because the bidders will try to outbid you. But if I'm DJ LeMahieu at this point in your career, is it about your legacy or is it about the championships? You're the only player to lead the both leagues and as the hitting champion. So he has that under his belt, which no one will probably touch for many years. I feel it was such a prestigious moment for him, and then he also became an all-star as a Yankee. So I just think he has to really put it into perspective what's important to him moving forward, whether he wants a shot at a championship with a team led by Garrett Cole and the organization that is the Yankees, or reach better financial situations for your generation moving forward. But it's all about what he wants to do.
Yeah. So obviously there's not going to be any 2-year, $24 million contract for DJ LeMahieu. We lucked out on that, but as we all know that contract is up. So DJ's going to want money, and he deserves money. He truly does. He deserves a lot of money. But like JJ said, is he going to be team friendly and kind of take, less than he's worth, or is he just going to go out there to a team who has a 6-year, however many millions of dollars, however much more it is than the Yankees offer him, and take that? DJ doesn't strike me as a guy who would chase money. I feel like he would be valuing a championship win more than a contract, but of course I don't know him personally, so I can't exactly tell you that. But I would hope that he would take a team friendly deal. It would still be a lot of money, but obviously less than other teams could give him.
Can I ask you guys a question before we move on to the DJ LeMahieu topic? Do you believe that if DJ LeMahieu were to hit the open market and get paid said dollar that they give him, do you think that he's a leadoff hitter wherever he goes, or is that just a Yankee scenario?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think for probably at least half the teams, and I think for teams that would seriously bet on a guy like that, I could potentially see him being a 2 or 3 hitter anywhere else. And I mean, I certainly think there would be teams who would need him and see him as a leadoff guy. But I think certainly him 1, 2, or 3 in any lineup is a better lineup for sure.
Yeah, I'll agree with Joe. I think it'd be kind of a toss-up where to put him in a lineup, because he showed with us that he has that newfound power, and he batted in a career high in RBIs as well. And obviously he hit 327 with us the first season, and obviously he hit an outstanding average this year. So it's kind of just where do you want to put him in a situation where he can rack up even more RBIs with people in front of him getting on, or do you want him to get on for guys like deeper in your lineup who hit for power and hit rake guys in?
His ability to hit in the clutch, with runners in scoring position has been just off the charts over the last 2 seasons. And, you look at a bat like that and you try to put a value on it. I mean, you've all heard me knock Mike Trout a million times on this show, and it's exactly for that reason. I mean, come up big, and LeMahieu did that over and over and over again, although not necessarily this postseason. He certainly had enough opportunities, but everybody's entitled to a couple of bad games or a bad series. So I didn't see anybody, despite DJ not having a great series, saying he ought to go and never come back. So Yankee fans are at least being realistic. Yeah. The guy I want to talk about next, because in some, like I said, in some scenarios I've seen for what the 2021 Yankees look like, including from Brendan Cuddy, who's I consider a really good Yankee journalist, put forth his 2021, and Luke Voigt's name wasn't even on the list. Yes. The guy who led the major leagues in home runs with 22 there. And I've seen this from more than a few people where Luke Voigt's not the starting first baseman because in their fantasy land, the Yankees have $210 million to burn to go out and get Bauer and Lindor and JT Romalto and any other perceived problem.
MLB The Show 2020. This is
right,
not
JJ. Any other perceived problem, they want to throw like a 4-year, $120 million deal to a free agent who's not coming. They're just not coming. But I've seen this over and over again. This Luke Voigt's 162 games, first 162 games of the Yankees, he had 49 home runs. And as we've seen, look, he's not a 300 hitter, but I mean, he's a good solid 270 guy.
Yeah.
And you saw the great play he made against the Rays, that stretch off the bag at first. I mean, I know he's not exactly the big cat over there or Fred McGriff doing Tom Amansky videos, but Luke Voit is certainly not a liability at first base. And just because he has muscles doesn't mean he can't feel the ball. So this idea that Luke Voit, who, by the way, makes peanuts compared to everybody else, and is under club control for 2 more years, if you don't think he's the starting first baseman, well, you must know about some kind of condition he has. He's going to be in a boot for a few weeks. He just got surgery for plantar fasciitis. Week in a boot, and he's going to be fine, back and ready to go. This guy's a monster. JJ and I like to call him Mr. Big Chest because, he's got a big chest. He sure does. And, but yeah, again, to disregard this guy after what he's done for the Yankees, for the remainder of 18 for 19. I mean, are you guys kidding me? Wake up and smell the coffee. This is a big time Major League Baseball player.
Absolutely. He's a stud at the first base. And like you said, we call him Mr. Big Chest because not only does he pick up big weights, but he hits a long ball just as good as anybody. And you talk about a lineup that has Giancarlo, Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, and he stands out even between those mammoths. But, to your point, Joe, this guy's under contract for the next couple of years. So the thought that he'll be somewhere else, not starting for the Yankees, is just ludicrous. You're not going to get better value at the moment. So people are living in video game land, and I don't like it. So just, stay on Earth and see what's really going on.
Yeah, not to mention Luke Voigt's a huge, huge fan favorite with the Yankees fans. So not only would that be stupid to let go of Luke Voit because of the talent that this man has, it'd also piss off a lot of Yankees fans, including myself. I want Luke Voit back in a Yankee uniform next season, starting at first base.
By the way, one of the more interesting aspects that came out of this Cashman Boone press conference, they talked about don't expect to see big changes, which I'm cool with, but they also took the time to clear up a couple of things. Number one, Aaron Boone defended his Game 2 decision to have Davey Garcia start the first inning, a decision we know didn't work out in the Yankees' favor. And Aaron Boone maintains that that was his choice to make. He consulted some people. It was ultimately his decision. Brian Cashman then followed up by saying he does not give any direction, doesn't like it, doesn't know where it's coming from, but he doesn't. And he said, you can ask Joe Girardi. You can ask Joe Torre. We don't tell the bench manager how to manage a game. That was all him. And this is where I had an issue with Brian Cashman. Cashman seemingly supported that decision. And I think the thing that a smart GM says there is, it was Boone's decision. I support him. I wish he hadn't done it.
I get your point, Joe, but the last thing that you want from a top class organization like the Yankees is that turmoil between the GM and the general manager and the manager and Boone. If the public eye, they have to look like they're on the same team, even if they're not behind closed doors. The public image when it comes to the Yankees is very important. So it's very predictable that Cashman would defend Boone in that scenario, even though when Boone had mentioned that he still defends his case, I know this is all of our cases. That didn't work. He knows he blew it. And just like you, I wish that Cashman would have put a little heat under his seat. But, like I said, public image is first for the Yankees. What happens behind closed doors is different.
Yeah, this might be just a case of telling the reporters what they want to hear and, handling your business, like JJ said, behind closed doors. So this could be just them trying to please the public, and who knows where these decisions are actually coming from and if Boone was actually alone in making this decision. I'd like to think Cashman had a little bit to do with the decision, but we'll just have to believe what they say for now, I guess, until more comes out.
Joe, I'm pretty sure we could both agree that this could possibly be Aaron Boone's last year as a Yankee manager.
They talked about extending him.
I think talking and doing is two different things. I see better than I hear. So until I see that they signed him, I feel like his seat is currently warm. It ain't hot. It all depends about how this Yankee team starts off this upcoming year, but his seat is warm at the moment. Lukewarm. I'll give it lukewarm.
We got to get that on a JJ roll call t-shirt. that was great, and I love that. Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing, switching gears a little bit here. With the New York Giants, they signed Odell Beckham to their big contract extension, and they said, well, we didn't sign him to trade him, and a year later they shipped him off to Cleveland. So,
but to be fair, Dave Gettleman's garbage, so a little bit different. Just kidding. So they basically, like I said, don't foresee big changes, but they did talk about Gleyber Torres. He's fine. Growing pains, can't make so many errors. They think Gleyber's going to be fine. He's still the shortstop next season. It won't be Francisco Lindor, I swear. They did talk about Gary Sanchez. Mm-hmm. And I'll put it to you like this. There was not a ringing endorsement of Gary Sanchez. Said Brian Cashman, we have to determine whether this is a byproduct of unique circumstances or more reflection of what is to be expected as we move forward. And it could very well be a change. It could be a competition. It could be, I don't know. Now I'm going to ad lib. I guess it could be just about anything. My argument for Gary Sanchez, and it's not that Garrett Cole likes him, which makes this photo on the screen very interesting. It was his inability to be productive with Cole on the mound that brought Kyle Higashioka into the conversation in the first place. But we could bang on that in a minute.
Yeah.
Gary Sanchez has had, over the last 4 years, 3 different catching coaches. And I had a whole conversation with somebody yesterday. Everybody knows Tyson Fury has a fight, or no, it's not going to happen, with Deontay Wilder. It would have been a third fight between them. And here's the thing. Floyd Mayweather recently said to Wilder, come to my gym. I'll show you. I'll teach you how to beat Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's been boxing since he was 3 years old. Deontay Wilder wanted to be a football player and a baseball player, and a really good hard right hand, and you see him use it to knock people out. He hit Tyson Fury twice with his best punch. And both times Tyson Fury got up.
He ate him.
You cannot beat that guy Deontay Wilder. Can't beat him. He knows how to beat you, and he took your best punch. You dropped him for 7, and he got up like the Undertaker. You cannot teach an old dog new tricks. To continue to tinker with Gary Sanchez's catching every single season. The him down on one leg, by the way, for any idiot Yankee fan out there, do you think that was his idea? Do you think he's doing it because he's lazy? I mean, what? All you hear about Gary Sanchez is what a hard worker Gary Sanchez is. So tell me how he's lazy. Well, he's down on one knee. That's the catching style they asked him to employ this year. So as I mentioned, for the 3rd time in 4 years, Gary Sanchez had to basically do what Deontay Wilder cannot do and try to learn a whole new way to do his craft. And I think that's a grave injustice. And to penalize the guy for not focusing on his hitting, where would he find the time? You're not going to ask Garrett Cole to learn like a knuckleball during the season and think he's going to master it by the time the playoffs come around. Gary Sanchez was a 20-year-old starting catcher for the New York Yankees. Get your head out of your ass. I know the batting average isn't where it's supposed to be. You saw you saw his chase rate went down. We know how unlucky he was as a hitter this year. His hard hit rate was top 10 in baseball. And people want to give this guy away? What are you smoking? Give him away. What are you talking about?
Yeah, let me hop
Stop
in here.
messing with this guy. Let him play baseball and watch what happens.
Let me hop in here. See.
Sorry, I just spit everywhere.
Okay, let me see if I can help you out a little bit. You know, speaking of Tyson Fury, though, how great was that intro when he came into for that fight as the king? Oh, that was awesome. When he was the king, that was amazing.
Brilliant.
But to your point with Gary Sanchez, he like I said, we always say he's arguably the best catcher in the league, despite his struggles. His ceiling only looks higher; it doesn't look lower. I think we all think that he could be better. We don't think he can be worse. But I got a little hot take for you, Joe. I really think that Gary Sanchez's future with the Yankees really depends on how valuable he is to Garrett Cole and the catcher situation. And unfortunately, I think that they walk hand in hand, and I would love for the relationship to work. But if it doesn't, you're investing 9 years in a guy and Garrett Cole, you're gonna pick him over the guy that you can let walk, And I get it. The drop off in the talent between Gary and a guy like Kyle Higashioka is drastic. You say you got the graphic up and the numbers look good for Kyle, but this is a small sample size for both guys. Overall, Gary Sanchez has the better reputation. He's the better player at this moment in their careers. But I really do think that Gary's destiny walks hand in hand with Garrett Cole's opinion of, is Gary Sanchez the catcher for this team?
Here's my thing with the whole Gary Sanchez situation. So obviously we know that the Yankees are one of the, if not the most powerful offensive teams in baseball. And we're doing that while having Gary Sanchez in this lineup hitting in the low 100s. So I'm not saying we don't need Gary Sanchez. What I'm saying is, imagine if Gary Sanchez could even get his batting average up to in the 230s or 240s, hit 30 home runs a year and drive in 85. That makes this offense light years better than it is, because with Gary hitting down towards the bottom of the lineup like he does, I mean, that's just so much. Like, I think 240 for Gary, 240 and 30 home runs is more than enough for me for Gary Sanchez.
I just feel like there's not a complete catcher in baseball, period. Not one. And I'm not saying Gary's one, but I think if you pick any catcher in baseball, you have to sacrifice some element of the catching game. Either he hits nothing, he has no power, maybe both, and he's a good receiver, doesn't have a great arm. You know what I mean? He's a good blocker, but he's not a good framer. You're not going to find a catcher who can do all phases well. The problem is that Gary Sanchez has the problem of that batting average. That batting average was 215. We wouldn't be having this conversation. Plain and simple.
Which is crazy, but that just means we're giving him that much leniency that we're actually saying if you could get to a 215, that'd be good. That just shows that he's not where we think that he should be, because 215 in any position is not acceptable.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think there's a better chance of Gary Sanchez having a 300 season than there is of Aaron Judge. I think Aaron Judge is a 270, 290 guy. Again, we saw Gary Sanchez in a half a season hit 300 his first year in the league. It's 100% true.
You have to say that. Is this
we have never seen Aaron Judge hit better than 282 in a season.
And we never seen Gary hit better than that either.
Hit 299. Hit 299.
Yo,
299 is rookie year. It happened. It happened. I'm saying it happened. It happened, and it happened against good major league pitching on a really bad Yankee team.
It happened when people didn't know him yet.
What does that have to do with anything?
He was a rookie. After year 2, year 3, year 4, people do more homework on the best catcher in the league.
I don't think it took long to realize that you don't throw that guy fastballs. And
yeah, you could throw it to him now when he's striking out.
Yes, Steve Risser. That was in 2016. And we have a high expectation of Gary Sanchez. We expect Gary. He hit 299, then he hit 272, I believe. And we figured he would be hitting right in that zone, same as Aaron Judge. That's what we expected, 35, 40 bombs. We expected that from both of these guys. And the fact that Gary's hitting so putrid makes it frustrating to the point people want to run him out of town.
Joe, I will bet you a yellow peanut bag of M&Ms that Aaron Judge will have a better average than Gary Sanchez in this upcoming season.
I'll take your bet.
You're on. Bet on.
What size bag of M&Ms is this?
The share size.
Share size. All right, I'm in. Down for that. It's a good bet. It's a good bet. I'm telling you, I think Gary Sanchez has the ability to hit.
This is just average. This doesn't include home runs.
Correct, just average. His average will be higher than Aaron Judge's average. I feel confident in saying that because I know he's a good hitter.
Lucas, I reeled them in. You saw that? I reeled them in.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable enough saying I think the guy's a good. And again, that's not even, and it's not. That's not meant to be any sort of a knock on Aaron Judge.
No, it's not. It's not.
I think that Gary Sanchez is really, honestly, that good, and I think that if he's able to focus on his hitting again and spend more time on tape watching himself hit as opposed to watching himself catch, I think things will go a lot better for him. Okay.
I'll agree, Joe, that I think Gary Sanchez has the potential to hit in the high, 280s and stuff like that. I think he does, but ultimately that lies in Gary Sanchez and what Gary Sanchez works on. And, if he can perfect his catching, then he can spend more time on his hitting. So I think it's all up to Gary Sanchez. He really has to prove himself next season.
When I tell you, I base this on nothing I saw this year. I'm basing this on what I've seen over the last 6 years with this guy, 5 years of this guy, and the ability I've seen in this guy, and the disappointment that we all share is because again, listen, put it like this. If Gary hit 286 next year with 33 homers and 106 RBIs, you're all going to be like, we knew he could do it. We're all going to say that. No one's going to be like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. We expect it.
I think the reaction
we know he's got the ability. He's just got to do it now. And if he doesn't do it, they've all but said he could be in trouble. I don't have a problem with Higgy catching Garrett Cole next year at all. That could be fine by me. Yeah. That could be Gary's day off of the week. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, every position needs depth. And if you got a guy like Higgy who's comfortable with your ace, then it's always more beneficial than not to have him. So I agree. Just like you want to have depth in every single position that you have in the field.
If Gary's in a 0 for 15 slump, bench him. Even if Cole's not pitching tomorrow, bench him. You can use this to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
This idea that you're going to jettison this guy, go sign James McCann or get somebody else. Boy, I'll tell you, if Kyle Higashioka was your everyday catcher, it wouldn't take long for everybody to absolutely hate Higgy. Hate Higgy would be a shirt we'd have. The Hate Higgy Club.
I don't think so. I think he's a likable guy, man.
He seems like a wonderful dude, and I really do like him a lot. I'm just saying he's 30 years old. If he was meant to be a starting catcher in Major League Baseball, probably would have happened by now. He's a solid receiver. We've seen him hit in opportunities, but we also, here's the other thing. I laugh about this because Austin Romine hit 299, I think, his last year as a Yankee.
Yeah.
People talked about how much better of a hitter he was. He's a better catcher, and it's like, I think everybody forgot 2 years ago when he was a 230 hitter. And all the previous seasons when he hit between like $190 and two, like he had one decent year at the plate and people were like, he should be the starter. Oh yeah. This like 30-year-old journeyman should start over this stud 2-time All-Star. Oh, tell me more, general manager of what?
Yeah. I liked Romine, but romaine lettuce was not the answer.
The answer is fixing a super talented guy and getting him straight and getting the most out of him. And I'll be honest, if anything, that falls on two people, Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone.
And
fix this guy.
And I think there's a third factor to that. Gary Sanchez, the man himself.
But again, I'm saying this, JJ, this guy does everything they ask him to do. They're like new catching style. Okay. New batting stance. Okay. You're not starting when Cole pitches. Okay. You're not starting the postseason. Okay. Make sure you're ready, though. I'll be ready. Media. Hey, you're not starting. How do you feel? Just want to get a win. I'm here for the team.
Yep.
Get rid of that bum. What is wrong with people? What? He's a gamer. He's a teammate. He cares about his team winning. He doesn't care about himself. He doesn't care about his batting average being garbage. He wants to come through like you won't want him to come through. That's my point. Like, he knows he's got to work his butt off, and he's been doing it. And he believes in himself. And they're getting a little sick of it, but they still support him, and they expect big things. As well they should. And you're right, JJ. Ultimately, it's all on him.
Yeah, he's very comfortable in his own skin.
They've got this immensely talented guy who plays a premier position. It's incumbent on them and this organization to get that right, because we know the talent's there.
Yeah.
Got to unleash it, and you got to stop screwing with this guy. Speaking of guys who aren't coming back for sure, James Paxton, I think, is at the top of that list. I don't even know how much I want to talk about Paxton. We know he had a great stretch run at the end of the 19 season. Really haven't seen much. Justice Sheffield stinks, so I feel like the Yankees didn't lose anything here. You did get some decent starts from Paxton. There was some of the big strikeout games, but I can't see this guy coming back. He didn't really seem to love his time in New York, and New York didn't seem to embrace him at all. I'll move right on to Masahiro Tanaka, if you don't mind. Anybody got anything they want to say about Paxton that's positive?
No, not positive. I was going to say, all I see is
take a cheap shot if you want. Go ahead.
It's not, I don't know. We didn't even call it a cheap shot. I'd just say I see another Sonny Gray situation. I think he can play. I think he can play ball, and I think he'll go play ball somewhere else. And I think he'll go to a small market team, and he'll play some good baseball. So there's my compliment.
Yeah, I would have given him as low as Sonny Gray. I mean, Tanaka. James Paxton was able to go to the playoffs with us and actually get us a good win. So even though his stay wasn't very memorable, he had a good stay. He didn't mess up the bed. He made sure that the room was clean when he left it. So James Paxton wasn't a bad stay. Sonny Gray just torched the whole room and left it. He wasn't a good company at all. But at least James Paxton, like I said, he left a thank you note, and he'll be out of his way.
A real shame. I mean, when the Yankees scooped him up for Sheffield, I thought, you know what? I don't feel like Sheffield's going to pan out, and I was great with this trade. Again, it's unfortunate it didn't work out better because I mean, maybe it works out better. I mean, had Paxton pitched to his capabilities, the Yankees are probably in a position where they have to give this guy like a 7-year, $200 million deal. So maybe it's best that he goes away. It's unfortunate. Like I said, it would have been nice if it would have worked out. Meanwhile, Masahiro Tanaka has been nothing but a gamer for the Yankees. Everything that Masahiro Tanaka has done. What? Did I already talk about Masahiro Tanaka?
No, it's the way it's spelled.
So are you making fun? Wait, are you suggesting that I may have made? Is there a typo?
Yeah, it was a graphic error.
That's what it is. Okay, let's try it again. How about there?
There you go.
All right. Now everybody knows how this works, which is trying to keep up the illusion. Masahiro Tanaka, an amazing 7 years, a contract, as I told you last time, had a value of $152 million. The Yankees had paid him $155 million. So they nearly got their exact dollar's worth. I think when you think about what this guy brought, the international flair of being from Japan and the fans in Japan and how much more interest there is in Yankee baseball all across the Orient because of Masahiro Tanaka, and whether he decides to go home and get himself some big money in Japan, or whether he decides he wants to stay in Major League Baseball, if he's willing to come back to the Yankees, if that's something that they're interested in, I would still feel really great about it. I really like Tanaka. He certainly has the elbow issue that, could go at any minute, but he was so good in the postseason. He always gave you a great regular season. You can always count on him in the pitch. Didn't spend really a lot of time on the IL, missing starts. I mean, he was as solid a rotation guy as the Yankees have had in the last 15 years. And again, no matter what happens with him, kudos to a great career as a New York Yankee. Hopefully it goes on for a couple more years.
I agree. Definitely one of my favorite Yankees growing up, and whatever he decides to do, I wish him the best of luck. I just hope if he does decide to stay in the MLB, that's not the case. I hope he stays with us, because I would hate to see him in another jersey. He's become so iconic as a Yankee that I really just wish that his MLB career would stay as a Yankee. If he does, just go home, go be with your family. But like I said, he's arguably a Hall of Famer. I don't think anybody will argue that. He's been class act since he got here. Love the guy. Wish him the best.
Yeah, I'd love to have Tanaka back on this team. I mean, it's always good to have someone around for the long run. Have that guy who knows what it's like to be a Yankee, knows what it's like to be a Yankee pitcher. Obviously all the fans love Tanaka. I love Tanaka. I've loved Tanaka since he got there. I got a Tanaka shirt, I think, after his first season. I should have got it earlier, because considering I got my Ellsbury shirt a week after he signed. But
what I told you about that name in this show, man.
Back to Tanaka. I mean, if he doesn't sign with the Yankees, like JJ said, I'd like to see him go home. I did read something earlier in the week that his former team is looking to bring him back on a offer between 20 and 25 million a year, which is insane. I heard that's unprecedented in Japan.
They don't pay that kind of money there at all. They stars get like high single digit millions.
Yeah, their highest paid player I read was making $6 million a year. So
yeah.
Well, to your point, Lucas, kind of like I said about DJ LeMahieu earlier, when you come to the Yankee, your value either rises or it declines depending on your experience. Masahiro Tanaka is leaving a winner from the Yankee experiment. Thus, his value is at an all-time high, just like it is for a player like DJ LeMahieu at the moment.
Yeah, hopefully he sticks around, though. I'd like to have Tanaka back.
And I'm sure Joe would appreciate this moment, but, we're from a generation, definitely you more than I, having more experience about guys that stay with one franchise their whole careers. It's just something special about that. It just doesn't really happen anymore with the player movement. I support the players making their own decisions and controlling their own destinies. I'm fine with that, but it's just something special about a player deciding to stay with the team that they've been with the whole time. It just makes it a lot more special.
I'll miss Tanaka if he goes, but nothing but the best for that guy because I really do. I think he did the Yankees very proud, and I saw him pitch on Derek Jeter. I've seen him pitch live. I would say probably 10 times.
I think
for
I've
some
seen
reason,
him 3 or 4.
So every time I go to the stadium, it seems like he was pitching. But I went to Derek Jeter Day, and he pitched that game. Beautiful ceremony. I was crying, and he gave up 3 home runs in the 3 solo shots in the first inning and 2 more in the second.
Well, it was a pressure-packed day, okay, Joe?
Yeah. I consult myself with. I'm sure he'll be fine in the postseason.
We're going down memory.
Yeah,
we're going down memory lane quick. I saw Tanaka versus Chris Sale at Fenway Park, and this is back, I think, 2017 or 18. And Tanaka went 9 innings, 3-hit shutout ball, and that was the best game I've ever seen a pitcher throw live. So I'm very grateful for that.
Oh yeah.
I was at Doc Gooden's no-hitter, so I've definitely seen less hits in a game. Yeah.
I've always wanted to see a no-hitter. Even when I go to Yard Goats games, I'm like, come on, no-hitter tonight.
Well, I've seen Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run, and I thought it was a gunshot when he hit it, and it scared me, so.
David Wells' perfect games. Both times, I was in a situation where I either had to fill in for a DJ at the radio station or they were going to give me their tickets and go to the game. And both times they opted to ask the boss for the day off and went to the game and saw perfect games. Same dude. Back-to-back years. Same thing happened.
2 perfect games?
He saw 2 perfect games.
That's
and
insane.
both times a week before was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the shift off. Do you want the tickets? I'll either take the shift or the tickets. Prefer the tickets.
Has that guy played the lottery yet? Because, damn.
As a matter of fact, I should have him on this show sometime. He's a huge Yankee fan. I think he would enjoy that story and retelling it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about this bullpen. There's just a couple more people we're going to talk about here. And then we'll get this show wrapped up, and then we'll start talking about, the offseason and how that's going to look for us. Zack Britton was great this year, 8 for 8 in save opportunities, had the lowest ERA of any Yankee pitcher, bullpen or otherwise. He's been reliable. He doesn't give up home runs. I alluded to this last time. I've been talking about this on Keys to the City a couple of times since our last show. I think Zack Britton should be the 9th inning guy next season, and maybe not in every situation. But I think when you're facing a home run hitting team in a close game, I would rather see Chapman in the 8th than Britton in the 9th, because Britton, if you're going to hit a home run off Zack Britton, I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know how you're going to hit a sinker off the ground over the fence. I mean, if you do, you're a better man than I. But I think this needs to happen. Aroldis Chapman, and I don't think there's anything wrong with Aroldis Chapman. I think he's just been unlucky in some really big spots. Mariano Rivera was unlucky in some big spots. And I mean, it's easy for us to forget that those things happened. I'll never forget the way the 2001 World Series ended. I'll never forget the way the 2004 American League Championship Series ended. Mariano wasn't perfect. Neither is Zack Britton. Neither is Aroldis Chapman. And look around the league. There are no perfect relievers. Look at a guy like Josh Hader, as good as he's been the last 3 or 4 years. Garbage this year.
But Joe,
garbage. And I see people are like, Yankees should go pick up Hader and give him get out of here.
And this is how I feel. I love Chap. I agree with your point. I think Zack will probably be a better 9th inning guy in this upcoming year. And I think we say that with hindsight, because now we've seen what Chapman's done in the last couple seasons. But that's to my point. I feel like I relived the same freaking nightmare that I did last year when I saw Chapman let off that home run in the 8th. I feel like the deja vu just came back. It just wasn't as strong because it wasn't the Astros, but I felt like I relived the same nightmare. And I know we all felt that way, and it was hard for us to be like, it's easy to be like, damn, it's Chapman's fault. But at the same time, be a big fan of his because we appreciate his talent, because we know he's elite. But it was just like you said, it was easy for us to forget the Mariano bad moments. They did happen, and they should be acknowledged despite the greatness. But it's just the way that Chapman in consecutive seasons let it happen that way. It's just memorable in the worst way.
It's so funny, again, because I was there and I lived through it. I was like literally hitting my 20s as this unfolded. But in 96, Mariano was the greatest relief pitcher we'd ever seen. Setup guy. It was like, oh, my God. And we were all like, why doesn't he close? And the 97 season came and Wetland was gone. And Sandy Alomar Jr. hit a huge home run off of Mariano, and the Yankees packed it up early in 97. And we were suddenly like, should we have gotten rid of Wetland? Is this kid up for it? And then needless to say, 3 championships in a row later, we were like, oh, no, he's great. But you're right, JJ. Look, even the most here's what I'm going to say. The greatest player I've ever seen in any sport in my lifetime, and this encompasses Michael Jordan and Joe Montana, Lawrence Taylor. Name a sport, I'll give you a name. I've seen them all.
You better say freaking LeBron James.
LeBron James, sure. Kobe Bryant. Throw them all in there. I've never seen a better or more dominant athlete than Mariano Rivera.
Yes.
For me, my entire life, I watched Mariano's first pitch in 95. I watched his last pitch in 2014. I have tons of memorabilia commemorating his last moment on a pitcher's mound. I think he was the greatest player I've ever seen in my lifetime in any sport. I've seen Messier. I've seen Gretzky. I've seen everybody.
He's my all-time favorite Yankee.
Mariano has to be.
Yeah.
Your Jeter could be your guy. Top five base hits all time. I mean,
he's no Mariano.
Right. Definitely not the greatest shortstop of all time. I love Jeter to death. Not the greatest shortstop of all time. Can't be the greatest player of all time if you're not the best at your position.
Right.
Yeah.
Mariano was the greatest pitcher of all time. As in, there was nobody more dominant than Mariano Rivera. And to do it with one pitch when you knew what was coming made it all the more remarkable.
Joe, and I don't mean this as a slight to the great Derek Jeter because I love him and I'm not slighting him in any way. But at no point did I feel like Derek Jeter was must-watch TV like it was Mariano in the 9th inning, must-watch TV.
Yeah.
Every time. Like Derek Jeter, despite how great he was, the at-bats, the anxiety that he brought, he was great, but it wasn't at the level. It's kind of like watching Tiger Woods play in the 90s. You just knew it was like, you got to watch this. Mariano had that same impact. He was that great. Hands on, a legend.
So, again, I just so we're all clear, my praise of Britton is based on his performance over the last couple of years since he's been a New York Yankee. I think he's been the better reliever, and I think if you were to ask me who the top 10 relievers are in baseball, I would have Chapman and Britton probably both in the top 5. And I think that's a huge testament to the Yankees. It's not a knock on either guy. 12 different guys at Tampa Bay this year closed the game. You've got 2 great closers. Use them.
Yeah.
Right.
Situational. Use them. That's how I see it going forward. The last 3 guys we're going to talk about are Clint Frazier, Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton. And for this reason, Clint Frazier, obviously every offseason, the idea that this kid's getting moved is going to surface. It's going to surface for young pitching and what the Yankees could get back. Everybody knows me, knows how much I love this guy.
Yeah.
The best article I've ever written that went viral was the one I wrote about Clint Frazier. I love this guy. I think he brings such a great energy. His defense isn't a problem anymore, so shut your mouth with that old yappity yapper. I hate that. I hate when I have to hear that. His defense was outstanding this year. Made some unbelievable plays this year. He's got a great arm.
I'm coming in hot. Clint Frazier starting at center field next year.
Center. That's a big if he can play center field, I'd love to have him out there.
The Gardy party has come to an end this offseason.
Yeah, I think Gardner's out.
And I hear Red Thunder roaring.
Yeah, it's time. I mean, right? Am I wrong, guys? Has he not shown the Yankees enough in all the times he's had to that plug this kid into the lineup and let's get it on already?
You know the phrase.
You're just wasting his years. Next thing you know, he's going to be a free agent, and you're gonna probably let him walk, and you're gonna really regret it.
You know that phrase, paying your dues.
Yeah.
If anybody has paid their dues to the Yankees, it's been Clint Frazier. So I'm excited. I hope that he actually gets the opportunity, as I'm predicting, to be the starting center fielder for the Yankees, because I think he's more than anything has waited for it and has earned it.
I think people will say I'm mean and I'm an Aaron Judge hater. I have had from day one expectations that are as large as his uniform. I think Aaron Judge is like a comic book character. It's like if Babe Ruth came to life in the social media era. Okay. This guy is a beast. I love his attitude. I love his Derek Jeter-esque dealings with the team and the media. I love how playful and he is with the fans. I love when he hits big monster home runs. I love watching him out in the outfield. He's got to stop getting hurt.
Yeah, he's got to stay healthy. I was just going to say that. That's his only flaw. He gets injured every season, and he misses upwards like 50 games. Obviously, it wasn't that serious this season because, 50 games out of 60 would have been a big chunk of the season. But, yeah, he has to stop getting injured. And, some of them, I remember a couple years ago, he got hit by a pitch, and he missed a lot of games. That's acceptable. Yeah. Something, I mean, the Yankees have to look into it. Maybe because the injuries have been insane over these past 2 seasons. So maybe it's something they're not doing right pregame, something the trainers aren't doing right. So it has to be something because your baseball team doesn't get this injured just out of the blue. It's not that just doesn't happen.
Football guys don't get hurt this much,
right? You have a football roster more healthy than the Yankees.
I just want to be clear, though, before we move on and kind of get this thing wrapped up. I do love Aaron Judge a lot, and my expectations are huge, just like with Gary Sanchez. It's the whole reason I said if you're gonna, because I want you to give leeway to both guys because they're 2 great homegrown products who have been doing this for a long time for the Yankees. This is the team we've always believed in, and we need all these guys, and they all need to be doing it together. And when I say it starts and ends with Aaron Judge, I mean that in the most complimentary way. He's the Derek Jeter, but with a ton more power. Just a larger than life human being. And it's amazing that he gets to do it with this monster, Giancarlo Stanton. We saw what a healthy Giancarlo Stanton looks like at the end of the season. We saw it in the postseason. If this guy can get it together and stay healthy, There's no telling what this Yankee lineup could do. I talked about, too, just the idea of him being in the lineup, how it's they still haven't won a postseason game with him not in the starting lineup in the last 2 years. I think if this guy stays healthy, he stretches this lineup out. He makes everybody better. He gives everybody better at-bats just by virtue of pushing everybody down in the lineup. You're talking about Gary Sanchez probably hitting 8th or 9th next season because of how much of a presence Giancarlo Stanton has. When Frazier was hitting 4th, when everybody was hurt, it was a different lineup. It was a different team. Yeah. The best Yankees team is this guy, and Judge, and Voit, and LeMahieu, and Torres, and Sanchez. That's what you need.
Ooh, we're spoiled.
That's what you need. Now, I said this on Keys to the City. I'm going to say this one more time. I think officially the New York Yankees are now Giancarlo Stanton and Garrett Cole's team.
Yep.
I think it's clear that you have 2 really outstanding veterans, 2 guys who, let's be honest, have come through every chance they've had in the postseason. Yeah. This is a great building block. The Yankees have a great hitter and he might just be a DH. That's fine. His bat is lethal and everybody knows it. The guy hitting in front of him, the guy hitting behind him, the guy hitting behind that guy are all going to see better pitches because he exists. Just because he exists.
Yeah, can't argue
and that pitcher who's looking at him so admirably, he knows there's championships to be won. And he knows how they're going to get there. And I think what these 2 guys did, Stanton and Cole did in this postseason, has got to have the Yankees feeling great about everything going forward.
Yeah, there's definitely a bright future ahead. I'll agree with that. I think, obviously a lot of people right now are crapping them pants, but I don't think there's anything to crap yourself over. I think this team will be just fine. I think the future is just as bright as it was a week ago.
Yeah, I think the Yankees could look at call it a little pie chart, and you can see the guys that make up most of your salary, and you guys Garrett Cole and Giancarlo Stanton that take up the biggest chunks of that pie, and you could actually take a sigh of relief and see those guys being productive and know that you've made good investments moving forward if you're this Yankees team with those two guys.
The last show that we had, we talked about marketing in New York, and you talked about Aaron Judge and the judges' chambers and the idea of marketing and how big marketing was. Well, I could tell you a funny story about the Reggie Bar.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson was a legend in New York. By the way, this is what it looked like outside the wrapper. For anybody who grew up in the early 80s like I did, and you ever had a Reggie Bar, it was chocolate with nuts, just basically chocolate poured over nuts. Came in an orange wrapper with Reggie on it, just said Reggie, exclamation point. Well, when the Yankees traded Reggie Jackson to the California Angels, they had tons of Reggie Bars left at the stadium. It did not stop the Yankees from trading a legend in Reggie Jackson. So again, and it's not to suggest that the Yankees are going to move on from Aaron Judge. I'm just saying they could.
It's a
but
business.
I'm also saying I would certainly love to see Aaron Judge bars. If it could be something chocolatey, nuts, maybe some peanut butter in there would be tremendous. I used to love those when I was a kid, though. Reggie bars.
It'll be a big bar, I'll tell you that. King size.
King size bar for sure.
Aaron Judge bar will be humongous.
All right, well, that's going to do it. I'm not even going to really get into the other series. Right now, Tampa's up 3-1 over Houston, just the way we want it. The Braves were up 2-0. The Dodgers had a huge first inning, which is reminiscent of last year. The Braves also had an inning where the Cardinals scored 11 runs in the first inning in an elimination game. I have a friend who's a Braves fan, so I'm always very keenly aware of what's going on there. But they're now down 2-1 of the series. Game 4 there tonight, and possibly the deciding game tonight between Houston and Tampa. What you got? Something, Lucas? Look, you were about to say something.
No, I had a little bit of reflux.
Oh, all right. Was it because you were thinking about the garbage cans of Houston and how gross they are?
Yeah, they're disgusting. They're disgusting.
Make sure you give us a check at clovercrestmedia.com/the Roll Call Podcast. Lucas just wrote an article. It'll be going up in just a few minutes, so make sure you check out the website. You can also check it out on our Facebook page. It'll be posted to the Twitter, which is at the Roll Call Show. You'll find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Roll Call Podcast. And by the way, make sure you check out Clovercrest Media. We have nearly 30 podcasts on the CMG network. A lot of great sports shows, including this one, showing about the G-Men, throwing jabs. What else? All Four Downs. There's a million of them covering really all the sports. Great true crime podcasts. We have 3 of those. There's several relationship shows. Just a ton of really cool stuff. Visit clovercrestmedia.com. And if you don't find a podcast you like, JJ, you know what I tell them? Start your own. Starting as low as $15 a month. That's right. clovercrestmedia.com. That's going to do it for us. For JJ Vargas and Lucas Balduck, thank you so much for checking out the Roll Call Podcast. We'll see you each Thursday, all off season long. Even if it's a short show, just to keep you updated, let you know about all the latest free agency rumors, and keep you up to date on rehab assignments, including Luis Severino, Tommy Kahnle, and so much more. That's going to do it for us. It was a fantastic 2020, even though it was weird and shortened and too many teams made the postseason. That does it for us. Take care.